Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to flash the Google factory images on your Nexus 6P, or in other words, how to unroot your Nexus 6P. Now there are a few reasons why you might want to do this, and we'll take a look at some of these right now. And basically, unrooting your Nexus 6P is not the only way to update your rooted or modded Nexus 6P. If you take a look at my channel, you can see other videos of how to update a rooted or even modded 6P. Now this can be used to restore your 6P back to factory settings or the stock ROM, just like how it came out from the factory to you, and also can be used to downgrade Android versions, and this is what you should do before selling your 6P on something like eBay or Craigslist or whatever you want to do. So what are the requirements for this? Well, first up, you're going to need a computer, obviously, the USB type A to type C cable, some time and patience, roughly about 20 minutes, a brain that you can work with, an unlocked bootloader, because otherwise I don't know what you're doing here, and last but not least, the device driver is already configured, because chances are if you've rooted your device before, you probably already have the drivers working, but if not, you can take a look at the more info down below, and I have a video on how to install the drivers for the bootloader and ADB interface, so you can check that out as well. Once you've got that sorted, we can get started right away, and first up is to actually remove your Google account from your phone. This is optional for those who still want to keep their phones, but if you're wanting to sell it, you should definitely remove your Google account so it doesn't go into that factory reset protection. So let's go over to our phone now, and what we need to do, and I think this is the same on custom ROMs and also the stock ROM, is to pretty much go into settings and then scroll down to users and accounts, tap on your Google account, and then tap on remove account, and then say OK, and that'll remove your device protection features. Once you've removed your Google account, you'll be fine, and now you can pretty much go and continue with the unrooting process. And that obviously begins with installing the drivers that are necessary to do such things. So here's my video on how to install drivers for the 6P, and of course other Google or Nexus devices, and I'll leave a link to this down in the more info below. And there's also another video on how to set up the platform tools or ADB and fastboot on your selected operating system. But I'll be showing you how to do that quite easily and quickly during this video, so don't worry about that. Now what we want to do is now head over to the downloads. There are a few things you need to download, and there are only two things if you have the drivers already installed. So once again, if you don't have your drivers installed already, please take a look at my other video, as I'll be showing you how to do it there, and I won't be showing you how to do it on this video. What you want to do is download the latest SDK Platform Tools, a standalone zip file provided by Google. Now this is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux variants, so just download the one that is right for your operating system. You can just click on the blue link and then say that you've read and agreed to the terms and conditions and press the blue download button. I'm going to save everything to one folder just to make it easy to show you guys, and you should probably follow the same things. Next up, you want to download the appropriate factory image for your device. Now again, this tutorial isn't really limited to the 6P, you can probably use it on all the Nexus devices. And what you want to do is select the version that you want to go back to. The version that you want to go to, I should say. Because if you want to downgrade, say for example you like Marshmallow for some reason, you can click on whichever Marshmallow version, maybe the last one, the MTC20L build of Android. You can click on the blue link and that'll download the Marshmallow factory image. Maybe you want to go back to Nougat, you can download the selected Nougat variant down here. Maybe you want to go to a certain version of Oreo or even the latest version and select the right one for you and your device. So click on the blue download link, and by the end of all these downloads, you should have these two files, at least 3 if you're doing the drivers. Now first up, we need to extract the platform tools. We're going to open up the platform tools zip file that we downloaded for our operating system, and we're going to open up the platform tools. Inside the platform tools folder, you want to extract ADB and the 2 ADB DLLs underneath, the fastboot exe, and the libwinpthread-1 DLL. Now if you're working with the bootloader and fastboot, you don't actually need to extract the ADB exes and the ADB DLLs, but just in case we need it for whatever reason, I think we should just extract those, and you'll probably be using this in the future if you plan on rebooting. So extract those 5 files, and then we'll close the platform tools folder, the zip file here. Next up, we're going to open up the factory image. So we're going to extract the image zip file, we're going to extract the bootloader image, and we're going to extract the radio image, just like that. Now again, we can close that, and now we need to reboot our phone into the bootloader. Now this is the process where we can start to flash everything back to stock. And please do keep in mind that your phone may, or if you want to wipe your phone, you can, and that'll erase the internal storage. So if you got something there you want to keep, then you definitely want to make a backup of it. Sorry that the lighting isn't too good here, but all you have to do is tap on power off and disconnect your USB cable. As soon as your phone's powered off, all you need to do is hold the volume button and the volume down button and power button. A little muddled up my words, but hold those two buttons down until you get into the bootloader screen, just like that. Now once you're in the screen, plug back your USB cable, like so. Once you're in here and your phone is plugged in, you want to just double check that your phone is connected. And we're going to do this by opening up a PowerShell window or a terminal window or a command prompt window in the same directory as where all our files are, okay? The same directory, which is /Android for me. It could be in whatever directory you like, so do keep in mind these variables. Now to do this on Windows, there's a really handy shortcut that you can use, and that is to hold Shift and right click in an empty space in the same Explorer window, and then click on one of the options, either Open Command window here or Open PowerShell window here. I'm going to be using PowerShell because that is what the latest, I guess, Windows 10 update has forced on everyone. But you can, however, add that command window right click menu back in there if you wanted to. So in PowerShell and in terminal and in the command prompt, there are different ways to run different programs. And as you can see with this image I've overlaid, so if you're using the command prompt, you can just type in the executable name followed by any of the arguments, as long as you've changed it to the directory, and you should be able to use that program with no issues. On the other hand, Windows PowerShell, you want to do a // and then type in the executable along with its arguments. And in terminal windows, such as on Mac OS or on Linux distributions, you want to type in // and that will allow you to run programs in the same directory. So a security feature of these shells. So please do keep in mind, depending on which one you're using, there will be a different way to invoke these executables and commands. Once you're familiar with that, we can get started right away. So in this case, I'm using PowerShell, so we're going to be using /. Alternatively, you can type in // if I can type properly. Start typing in the executable and press tab, and that'll automatically change it to a / for you, as you could see. Now, device is in the bootloader, so therefore we use fastboot. And to check if our device is connected to our computer properly, we can use the command fastboot devices. And once it returns our serial number, you know that our device is connected properly in fastboot. Now once again, the commands I run here will be exactly the same across all platforms and all terminal or shell windows, but just the way you execute the fastboot executable, or whichever executable you might be running, will be different, so do keep that in mind. Now that our device is connected properly in fastboot, we can go ahead with the flashing process. So of course we're going to do the bootloader first. We're going to type in fastboot flash bootloader, leave a space in the end, and drag in our bootloader image we've extracted earlier. Hit enter, and that is it once it's done. And we're going to want to reboot back into the bootloader. You can do this by typing in command fastboot reboot -bootloader, or you can go back to your device and press the power button whilst reboot bootloader is selected. So once you've done that, rebooted back into the bootloader, we can now go ahead and start flashing our radio image. We do it the same way. We can type in fastboot flash radio, leave a space after radio, and drag in our radio image, and hit enter. Once that's done, we're going to reboot back into the bootloader once again. I'm going to do it the same way by going to our device, pressing volume down to select reboot bootloader, and then pressing the power button to select the action. Once you're back into the bootloader, we're going to go back to our shell, and then we're going to type in or start flashing the images. Now here's where you can diverge slightly, just a little bit. So if you just want a quick and easy way to kind of get your device back to stock, make sure everything is erased as well, we can use the fastboot update command with a certain flag that will determine if you want to erase your device or if you don't want to erase your device. Now if you're experiencing problems trying to boot up your phone and you want to kind of do things one at a time, you can always open up the image zip file that we extracted from our factory image. Please note that it is different, and inside you'll see these 4 files. If my mouse doesn't spaz out, you'll see the boot image, the recovery image, the system image, and vendor images. Now depending on how old the factory image is, I believe Marshmallow and some earlier Nougat factory images included a cache image and a user data image. Now if you have those two files, you can either flash them, but I don't think it's recommended. You can use the fastboot format command instead if you'd like to, and I'll demo all this in our videos. So let's do it the fastboot update method first. Now to do this, all you need to do is type in fastboot update. Now this is where you want to specify whether you want to wipe your device or if you don't want to wipe your device. Now by wiping, I mean killing everything in your internal storage on your device. If you want to wipe everything, put in -w. If you don't want to wipe anything, don't type in -w, okay? Now in this case, we're going to wipe our device. I'm going to drag in our image zip file, just like that, and I'm going to hit enter. Now this is going to extract all the images inside the image zip file to our computer, and then it's going to flash them one at a time. And then since we have the -w flag as denoted here, that means the bootloader will erase our user data and I believe cache images as well. So that will erase everything on our device, and our phone will automatically reboot after that. Okay, so if you get this little funny error, it may or may not happen to you depending if whatever reason it decides to give you. This is why a lot of us like to flash these images manually and do the erasing manually as well. Now I know the convenience of doing a fastboot update is unmatched and is actually pretty good, although sometimes it doesn't work as well as you'd like to. So in this case, we're going to be doing things manually in case this doesn't work well for you. So I'm just going to clear the shell, and what we're going to do is open up the image zip file. We're going to extract all the images here. My mouse stops doing that. Just outside, just like that. Give your system image a few more seconds to extract itself, since it's almost 2 GB in size. Okay, my Explorer crashed, that's nice. But anyways, you can just go back to the same folder, and hopefully everything's extracted, which is great. And what you can do is also close the image zip file. Now we'll get back to our prompt, and we can see everything is still here in our Android folder. What we can do here now is do everything manually, which is the other thing I wanted to show you anyways. So what we want to do is, of course, keep using fastboot. After flashing the bootloader and radio, your first thing would be to flash the boot image. So let's type in fastboot flash boot, leave a space at the end of boot, and drag in our boot image. Hit enter. Once you flash the boot image, you don't really need to reboot back into the bootloader again after every single flash, although if things aren't working for you, you might want to do that. But what we want to do next is erase the cache. Now this is fine, it doesn't really hurt any of our data if you wanted to keep it, but just to keep things running smoothly, especially if you're going back down Android versions. But if you want to go up as well, you can maybe notice some performance increase or less sluggishness overall. So we can erase the cache by doing fastboot format cache, press enter. So if you also experience this error, now this happened to me while using the update command as well, you may have seen. Don't worry, you can still soldier on, even experiencing these errors, because we can format the cache and the user data in the stock recovery after we're done flashing, I guess, the major components. So if you can't format the cache or you can't format the user data, you can always do it another way, so don't worry too much about that. So I guess we'll just continue on, and then we're going to flash the recovery image. So type in fastboot flash recovery, leave a space in the end and drag in our recovery image, hit enter, and then we're going to flash our system image. So we're going to type in fastboot flash system, leave a space in the end and drag in our system image, hit enter. Now this will send the image up in little sparse images, so this may take maybe just about a minute, and we'll fast forward this until that's done. Alrighty, so that took about 83 seconds. Yours may vary depending on other factors. So once you finish flashing the system image, we can go ahead and flash the vendor image. And do this the same way. Type in fastboot flash vendor, leave a space at the end, drag in our vendor image, just like that. Excellent. So now that we've flashed all our major components, and of course I realize that we still need to erase our data. Now note, of course, this is optional if you're just flashing, trying to unroot and you want to remain on the same version of Android, especially, or if you're upgrading as well. But if you're downgrading or you need to come back from a custom ROM, your best bet is to do a factory reset. Now you can do this a number of ways. You can boot TWRP and then do a factory reset using TWRP so you can preserve your internal storage. Otherwise, if you want a clean slate to work off of, you can go back into the stock recovery and do the factory reset that way as well. So I'm going to be showing you how to do it in the stock recovery since we're going back to stock anyways. So let's go back to our device here. Let me enlarge that. And what we need to do after flashing everything is go back down to recovery mode in red. Press the power button to select that, and our phone is going to reboot into stock recovery. Now you may note that we still haven't relocked the bootloader, and there's a very important reason for that. Especially if you're just wanting to sell it or even just go back to stock, you want to make sure that your phone can boot up all the way into Android, set it up, everything works fine, and then once everything works fine, well, you don't have to set it up because relocking the bootloader will erase your device. But once you've gotten into Android and you make sure everything works fine, your camera, microphones, things like that, unless it's already broken, but you want to make sure your phone boots up before relocking the bootloader, because it can be very, very hard for you to unlock the bootloader again if your device doesn't boot up properly. Back to erasing our device using the stock recovery, you may get to this familiar screen. Many of you may know this is the stock recovery screen. Now to get into the menus, all you have to do is hold the power button and tap volume up. You may take a couple tries to get this, but you should be presented with the options for Android recovery. If you don't mind, I'll just zoom in so we can see everything. Now pretty much here will be your options on how to, erase the device and all that. And what we can do is use the power buttons and volume buttons to navigate the menus. We want to go to wipe data and factory reset and press the power button to confirm. Go down and hit yes, and that will wipe everything off of your phone. You can see it at the bottom. It's going to wipe data, and hopefully it should wipe our cache as well. If not, you can do that manually, and yes, it has. Now data wipe is complete, and you should see the menu come back up. Now at this point, you're pretty much done. You can reboot your system now using the power button with the top selection selected, or if you want to do anything else, you can do that as well back into the bootloader. But in this case, we're going to reboot our system now to verify that it still boots up and it still works properly, which is a very important thing. Now your first boot after wiping data may take roughly, more than usual. I would say maybe a maximum 10 minutes really. If you still experience issues, you may want to try flashing the images again or doing another wipe in recovery. Okay, so you can see our phone has booted up all the way into Android and most of the things work. So you can quickly go through the, setup screen and all that good stuff, and just to verify that your phone works, such as, the Wi-Fi and all that. You can see all my networks, that's great. Now, I guess this is also a good way to see if your device has not fallen into the trap of the factory reset protection, as it won't ask for your Google account and you can still use the phone. But maybe it's because you need to connect to Wi-Fi or something like that, but I don't know. But it'll probably show that screen up where you have to log in with your previous Google account already. Now here we are, stock Android with nothing installed and pretty much on stock 8.1. So now once you've verified everything is working properly, we can now relock the bootloader. Now to do this, of course, we'll need to go back into the bootloader. So in this time I'm going to press restart, and as soon as the screen turns black or the phone freezes, hold down the volume down button, and wait for your device to reboot back into the bootloader. And once it has, of course, you can set that aside and we'll go back to our computer here, and where we'll type in our fastboot or a command to relock the bootloader. And to do that, we're going to be typing in fastboot flashing lock, like so. And our screen will change to this question, do you want to relock the bootloader? And if you're all certain, then just press the power button to select yes. And you can see on the shell here, we were locking the bootloader and we're locked. Our phone will reboot back into the bootloader, and once we press start, our phone will reboot into the recovery mode where it will reset itself. You'll also notice that the padlock is gone from the bottom of the screen, meaning that our bootloader is locked, and it should erase itself, like so. And this very cool recovery screen. In the end, your phone will boot up like it did before, where you'll have to set it up again. And once it does that, you're pretty much done. So that's about it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want a tutorial that is actually on macOS or even a distribution of Linux of your choice, feel free to message me. Leave a comment down there in the comment section, or you can message me on Discord or even on Twitter. You can tweet to me, and I'll be more than happy to try and make a tutorial that is based on your operating system if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I should have mentioned this at the start anyways, because it's already at the end. But in any case, if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave down below. And if you require any additional help, you can try the comment section, although I'd much rather have you come to my Discord channel, where you can post whatever you like and also ask for help if you need to. And as always, happy flashing.